Happy Valentine's Month, everybody. I'm the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to share with you some of my favorite Valentine's Day episodes from TV shows or even movies. Not everything is all lovey-dovey. Sometimes Valentine's Days deal with heartache and everything. So, some episodes will be romantic and lovey-dovey, while others will be very sad and heart-wrenching and stuff. But love is love. It doesn't always come with smiles and giggles and glee. So I'm here today to talk to you about Legend of the Seeker Season 1 Episode 8, Denna. I love Legend of the Seeker. It is one of my all-time favorite shows. However, I have not watched it in many years. And normally when I do watch it, it's around the holiday time for the holiday type episodes. And it's just kind of like, the reason why I haven't watched this in over like a decade or so is because of streaming. I am still yet not done watching everything I want to watch on streaming. So this is really pissing me off, because back in the day, I used to love to staying up at night watching my DVDs. Every night I will watch either Legend of the Seeker, Sliders, Power Rangers, something around like that, or Person of Interest. And now I haven't really watched none of those shows. And it really sucks. But Legend of the Seeker was great. It was made by Sam Raimi and Rob Tabbert. Same people who made Hercules and Xena, Young Hercules, Cleopatra 2525, and Jack of All Trades. And this show is basically like Hercules and Xena, except for, think of Hercules and Xena, but without the cheesy 90ness and also the martial arts. They do fight, but it's more fists, like hand-to-hand fists and stuff like that, as opposed to martial arts and none of that flipping around. None of that 90s cheesiness, no humor type stuff. No, there are a couple of whimsy episodes, but that's about it. It was a more serious show. Think of this as a combination of Lord of the Rings meets Game of Thrones. And in fact, in the books that this is based off of, they're supposed to have dragons, but they couldn't do that for this show. Personally, I like this a whole lot better than Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. I could never get into the two of those things. I just couldn't. And it's like, this show is just awesome. There's fighting, there's love, there's romance, there's drama, there's wizards and witches and magic, and it's just all kind of cool stuff, man. It's like the dude who created the book created his own universe, his own type of mythological creatures, and it's just awesome. However, I know what you're probably thinking, well, this is so awesome, why did it get canceled after 2 seasons? Well, there's a couple of reasons why. One, fans were not happy that this deviated from the source material. They changed a lot because they had a TV budget. Also, one reason why this got canceled, it was in syndication. A lot of people didn't even know when this show came on or that it even existed. This was back around 2010, I think. No. I'm mistaken, because I was still in college, I think, when this came out. So yeah, this actually came out earlier than that. It came out earlier than 2010. I think it got canceled in 2010. And because even though ABC Studios owned it, they didn't want to put this on ABC because it wasn't their type of show. So they just put it on syndication. And so a lot of people didn't know about it and stuff. And so sadly, yeah, it got canceled. And they got canceled on a cliffhanger. Ooh, that makes me mad. Now, this is the show that introduced me to Bridget Regan, the woman who just played Poison Ivy in Batwoman. See, I know a lot of people criticize her portrayal in Batwoman. Watch this show and you will see why I love her to death as an actress. She is one of my favorite and stuff. And so, this episode was actually directed by Michael Hurst. You might recognize that name. He played Aeolus on Hercules' Legendary Journeys. He also was the shark bounty hunter guy in Power Rangers Ninja Storm. And he is an amazing actor. He's an even better director. I didn't even know he could direct, but my God, the things he did with the camera work and lighting and special effects, it was breathtaking. It was angelic and everything. And it makes perfect sense for these two type of characters that are in the show. A mother confessor and a Mord-Sith. Now, I do feel bad reviewing this episode because I haven't really reviewed this show. So you're really not going to know what the world is going on. But I'm trying to get you caught up a little bit really fast. So basically like this. The Seeker, he is like the chosen one. A Seeker is always a male, it is never female. A Seeker prized possession is the Sword of Truth. The sword is just a regular sword. Um, in the hands of anybody else, it's just a regular sword. But in the hands of a Seeker, then he is able to fight with the strength of 10 men. And so, like, in order to get this sword, it's like a prophecy. Like, it pretty much is kind of like a chosen one type thing, kind of like Buffy. When one Slayer dies, another one is reborn. So it's kind of like that. And in order to get the sword, it has to be like kind of like licensed to you by a wizard. So the wizard does the magical spell thing. You hold your sword up in the air, lightning bolts hits it, and then now it's your prized possession. And so the Seeker fights along two of his allies, his wizard and his confessor. He must always have both. The wizard, of course, is just a wizard. A confessor, on the other hand, is female. They are always female. They wear these long white dresses. They sometimes can wear like black pants underneath. I don't know why Bridget wore black pants for, because none of the other confessors did that. Maybe because it was cold around that time. And so it could be, I don't know. Or maybe because she was afraid that like there's like a split in her dress. So all that spinning around and fighting, she was probably afraid that people might have saw some areas. So she probably wore pants. And so yeah, they wear these long white dresses. They fight with these double daggers. They fight in hand-to-hand close combat, but then for far away distances, they throw them at people, and they're really good at doing that. Now, they have magical powers. The thing is, they can always tell when a person is lying and when a person is telling the truth. The other power is that they can confess you. What it is that they normally like to hold you by the throat, look into your eyes, their eyes turn black, your eyes turn black, and you are now their long life slave. Like everything they can tell you to jump off a cliff, you will jump off a cliff. They can tell you to sit down, you will sit down. And you are literally, you think you're madly in love with them when you're confessed with them. And so normally they take, see, in order to, see, the thing about their powers, because it was revealed in the episode before this, but I probably won't review it, even though it has a little bit of a Valentine's Day type episode, not really. She basically tells them everything about her powers. Basically, it's like this. Their powers is always fluctuating, and they have to keep it. They have to keep it in, like really hold it in, and it can come out at any point in time they touch you. If you give them a kiss, and they get too like horny and everything, their power can get unleashed on you, and you will be confessed. If they like are clickety clacking to you, it will be unleashed. If they hug you too long, it will be unleashed. You get them a back massage and they get too aroused, it comes unleashed. So they normally only like do that in battle. So when they're fighting somebody in battle, they will confess them so that person will stop fighting them and fight for them. And they never mate for love. Like in order to continue their line, they take bad people in battle and they confess them, and then they mate with them to make their babies. They must always have a female. If a male confessor is born, they must kill him automatically because the male lust is too strong, and he uses his power to confess everybody at will. And so that's basically a confessor. Also, their hearts are tied to the seeker, so they can always like find each other, stuff like that. And a confessor must never fall in love with a seeker, because then he'll be her slave and he won't go about his mission trying to save the world and everything. So let's see. The wizards are supposed to do adding and subtracting magic, but they never do. So that's one thing that pissed the fans off. And he just did regular magic. He mentioned it, but he never, talks about it. There is a hall of prophecy from the creator. The creator is basically like God, and the keeper is basically like the devil. And so like the hall of prophecy is when the creator will write something for these certain type of women to read, certain type of women, or I forgot their names. Sisters of the Light, and so, or also Sisters of the Dark can read it too, and also very powerful witches like Shota. Shota was in the last episode. In the last episode, Shota tells Richard he is the seeker, that you will be betrayed by the woman in white, and she points to Kaylin and Nell, who is the mother confessor. Kaylin is struck by this. She doesn't understand how she would betray him, but it gets revealed in the second season, towards the end of the finale. So that was nice. They paid that off after all that time, and so like so basically, yeah, you caught up in everything. It's filmed in New Zealand. It has the setting of Hercules and Xena type thing. They're in their own little world. And so that's that. So this episode, Kaylin is having a nightmare. She's dreaming that they're being attacked by the Harran soldiers. The Harran soldiers are like the main bad guys, the foot soldiers of Darken Raw. Darken Raw is the main bad guy. He wants to take over the entire world, and he is extremely evil. Well, so they get attacked by them, and then all of a sudden, Zed, who is the wizard, he dies by a couple of arrows in the chest, and then so Kaylin ends up stabbing him in like the chest. Then she wakes up from her nightmare, and she realizes Shota vision might come true one day, and she can't risk that. So she must leave Richard, who is the seeker and everything. And so like when she wakes up from her dream, he wakes up from next to her and stuff, and she tells him, this ain't right. I need, I can't like be here and stuff like that. He's all like, what are you talking about? And then he's all like, I love you and everything. He only known her for like, well, it's the 8th episode, but he's only known her for like a couple of weeks, and he's already in love with her because she is drop dead gorgeous and everything. Plus, the confessors kind of have like this aura that just makes men kind of like want them, but she's so stunning, he just wants her. It's like love at first sight type thing, right? And so she wants him back too, but she can't help herself, and they end up making out. And so she has to stop herself from doing that. Now, he doesn't know why, because he doesn't know the full extent of a confessor power. She thought she told him that in the last episode, but that was an imposter who was looking like him under a glamour spell. So the next morning, she tells Zed that, she has to go because they almost did it. And he was afraid of that and all this other stuff. So she ends up leaving, and Richard is pissed as he's talking to Zed. And Zed's all like, look, she made her own mind, this and that. We need to focus on finding the boxes of orange. And so as they are like walking through the woods, they are attacked by the Mord-Sith. Now, the Mord-Sith make their appearance in this episode. Darken Raw at first wanted the secret dead, but now he doesn't. He wants him trained by the Mord-Sith. The Mord-Sith are very interesting people. First things first, they are dressed like they're, okay, think of the Fox Daredevil outfit, that red leather, but think of that as like a sexy like bondage type episode, a bondage type outfit. It's skin tight hard leather with a skin tight leather corset, boots, gloves, and a tight belt. In fact, the creator of this show decided, okay, so the thing is, the Mord-Sith always inflict pain on people, and they take in pain. So he thought, hey, wouldn't this be a great idea to show that by having the women dress in extremely tight outfits? Yes. The outfits are so constricting, they cannot move. All they can do is stand up and walk. He wanted them to look truly the part. He is insane. These women went through crap to put on those outfits. And they literally pulled those corsets as tight as they could. And the thing about the Mord-Sith, they're supposed to be able to fight in hand-to-hand combat, and every time they do, it never looks good because the outfits are that tight. So Zed tells Richard, we're no match for the Mord-Sith because he hasn't explained what their power is on what all they can do. And he's all like, don't use the sword on them. But Richard, being hard-headed, he does it anyway. And then the sword starts to glow as the Mord-Sith puts her hand up. Why? The Mord-Sith has the ability to deflect any type of magic. A wizard can throw a fireball at them, boom, it goes right back to the wizard and it will kill them. Since Richard tried to use the sword on them, the sword is now deflecting and drops out of his hand. And they have these type of weapons that look like billy clubs. And they're billy clubs that are like a taser called the Agils. And it tortures the crap out of people where veins are popping out of their skin. It's that I think of a taser times like a million, right? It's one of the most excruciating pains ever, and it makes a loud screeching noise as it's hurting people and stuff. So Zed goes invisible and he just flees because he has to go find Kaylin and stuff because she's the only other person that could probably help. Because a confessor, if they touch a Mord-Sith, it doesn't possess them. What it does is makes them in agony and pain to where they experience every bad thing they ever done to a person and then they finally die. That's why the Mord-Sith hate them. And so one thing that's cool about Michael Hurst when he directed this episode, in certain scenes, you will see the confessor and the Mord-Sith and a certain light will shine on them. White for the white gold type thing for the confessor and a red kind of color for the Mord-Sith, kind of like a devil's angel kind of thing. And so the Mord-Sith take Richard away. Now, when they take him away, they take his shirt off and his shoes because they're finna torture the crap out of him. What the Mord-Sith do is that when they train people, what that is that they train both men and women differently. They kidnap little girls and they train them to be Mord-Sith. They kidnap them at a young age because at that young age, they can be trained a whole lot easier. They put them down in a cold dungeon with rats and barefooted and barely any food or water, and they torture them with the Agils over and over and over as they're chained and everything. Men, on the other hand, it depends. Sometimes they'll train soldiers to fight in the Daharan army. Or what they do is when they kidnap the little girls, they kidnap the fathers as well, or the mothers. And what they do is that they train them to do whatever they want, or they'll lead them as kind of like prey for the newly trained Mord-Sith teeny tiny girl. And when her training is over, she must kill her parents in allegiance to that of Darkened Raw. Now, the Mord-Sith power comes from that of the bloodline of the Raw bloodline. If there are no more Raws, then the Mord-Sith lose the power of their Agils. The Mord-Sith also have another ability that I'll tell you about a little bit later. So, Mistress Denna. Mord-Siths are basically like Amazons meet dominatrix. She is cruel, she is ruthless. They always wear their hair the same way. A very tight braided ponytail, and their hair is down to their butts. And so she is, instructing him on how she's going to train him, this and that. And she also lets him in on a couple of secrets because, see, he's resisting her training. No person has ever resisted their training, but he is doing his best to do it. And one thing he does is that he thinks of Kaylin making out with her out by the beach. And the way Michael Hurst filmed that is that he had a glowing angelic light on Kaylin and stuff, almost like she's an angel. And so she tells him, "Oh, I know you're blocking me from thinking about somebody else, and I want you to stop thinking about this person, blah blah." Anyway, she does eventually break him. She trains him to where he will do whatever she says because the torture and pain got too much for him. Now, this dude who plays Richard Raw, this dude is ripped. He is lean. He has no body fat. He is literally a sculpted muscle machine. Like, think of the Joel Schumacher Batman and Robin costume with all the muscles and lines and ligaments and all that. That is what this dude body looks like. He should be like in a superhero movie or something. So eventually she does break him, right? So let's get to Kaylin and Zed. Kaylin needs a new confessor to accompany Richard. So she goes by a nearby village and she talks to her friend Laura. But then she realizes Laura has confessed the entire village, men and women. And she is angry by this because she broke the number one rule of being a confessor. And so the only reason why that Laura lady did, she said, because these people lost everything in the Daharan War. They need to rebuild. They need to fight without fear. Because when you're possessed by a confessor, you fight without fear. And so she completely broke her covenant and everything by doing this. Because she just basically wanted slaves and everything. So Kaylin knows she can't let Laura be the Seeker's new confessor. Zed shows up and tells her what's going on. Kaylin is worried and she's all like, we have to get him back and I'm gonna go and talk to him. But Zed's all like, you can't go alone because there are tons of Daharan soldiers and Mord-Sith. And so Laura wants to use her village army to fight, but Kaylin doesn't want to do that. But Zed's all like, look, I don't like that idea, but we need to get him back. So Kaylin goes there and she tries to talk to Richard, but he doesn't want to talk to her back because he's been like corrupted now. And so after she tries to like free him by killing the guards, but she gets attacked by the Agil from a Mord-Sith. After she's taken down to the dungeon, Richard tells her like, look, there's only one thing for you to do. You must confess me. So I won't be Denna's slave. I can be yours. At least then I can still fight for good. Now, remember I told you a confessor should never confess a seeker? I will explain why and when I review another episode, because it's a good episode coming after this. And so, I forgot to tell you, Denna, she tells Richard everything about a confessor, about why Kaylin doesn't fall in love with him and stuff like that. He never knew. She never told him. Zed never told. He's pissed about that because he had to hear it from somebody else. So, Denna tells Kaylin that before I kill you, I'm going to train you just so I can break you. But, you won't have to suffer through all that pain if Richard just kills you now. So she orders Richard to kill her. Richard is still brainwashed, but then his willpower is so strong, he's able to break free of that and fight his way out. So Kaylin, she's fighting Denna, and he's fighting the Daharan soldiers. And he's fighting with literally a crossbow, just whacking them around and everything, and just punching the snot out of them. And so Richard then takes the knife, and he stabs Denna with it. And she's all like, how are you able to resist me? And he's all like, because you trained me too good. You trained me to withstand pain. See, one thing Richard learned when he was trying to like first resist Denna is that she tells him, I bet you want to pick up my weapon and like tase me with it and stuff. So she tells him straight up, just go do it, right? He touches the handle and he's electrocuted from it. Why? Because an Agil will basically electrocute any person who touches it, handle or like the weapon area. And so Mord-Sith are constantly in pain when they touch it, but they must learn to block the pain out. That's what she taught him. So he was able to block like all her mind control out and the pain and all this other crap. So he kills her, he just tosses her on the floor. So then we get a scene where Richard, he's talking to Kaylin and he's all like, it hurts. I had to hear about all this crap about confessors from her and not you. But no matter what, I will continue to love you. I'll just block out the pain and everything of not being able to be with you. But then we get a scene with the Mord-Sith. They come back. Now, there's something I didn't mention. A Mord-Sith has another ability, one more power. They can bring people back from the dead. If they kill somebody, which she actually didn't kill Richard through the chest with her Agil. And it don't matter how you die. But when you're seconds away from true death or going to the underworld, they revive you by blowing this mystical power in your mouth and it revives you, the breath of life. And so she revived Richard in the middle of the episode, and then another Mord-Sith revived Denna. And what's weird is that, okay, if too much time passes and the body goes cold, then you can't revive nobody. But this is what's weird. They killed Denna in the afternoon, and now it's late at night, and they're able to revive her. Her body should have went cold by then, but whatever. But yeah, this was a very impactful episode. It was very informative. Like, we already knew about the confessors, but we didn't know nothing about like Mord-Sith. It was really interesting. It was really intriguing. But the next episode I'm going to review, my God, that is a powerful, lovey-dovey episode where Michael Hurst actually gets the guest star and cameo in. Now, wasn't that romantic? Or depressing, depending on what kind of video I just talked about. Okay, well, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. And bye.